What is going on, everybody? I am recording this episode at night. I usually don't do this, but just hear me out, guys. I'm thinking this is gonna be my new schedule, since I can't really um, do it during the, well, I guess I could, record during the day, but, I get a lot of other things going on during the day, so, oh, yeah, alright, guys, Motorsport Monday, got 2 videos for you guys, and that will honestly be it, so enjoy.
Toyota is bringing some major upgrades for their Le Mans Hypercar next year. Toyota Gazoo Racing has officially confirmed an Evo upgrade for their championship-winning GR010 hybrid. The Japanese car manufacturer announced that these updates could arrive as early as next year. And in this video, I'll be breaking down everything we know so far about this new Evo package for Toyota. On Wednesday, October 1st, Toyota revealed renders showcasing a bold new look for the future of their WEC campaign. Now, just to clarify, while the design might look fairly similar at first glance, this is not connected at all to the Toyota GR-H2, which is a hydrogen-powered concept car unveiled at the 24 Hours of Le Mans as part of the WEC's Hydrogen Racing Initiative. The confirmed upgrades include a major aerodynamic overhaul introduced as Toyota's Joker update for 2026, with the images already hinting at a radically different profile compared to the current GR010. The current GR010 hybrid, which we see racing around the track, was launched in 2021 during the beginning of the hypercar era, and it is currently the oldest hypercar on the grid. Toyota did refresh it slightly in 2023, but the Japanese car constructor has confirmed that it is time for another full-scale redesign. The need is quite clear. 2025 has been Toyota's toughest WEC season in over a decade, with 0 wins or podiums achieved so far, marking their worst season since 2015 after a disappointing campaign for the TS040 LMP1 car. That said, the struggles in 2025 for the Japanese marque are largely stemmed from BOP disadvantages, which I covered in detail in another video, which I will link in the top right corner and at the end of this one for you to check out. So, the newly revised GR010 will hit the track for the first time at Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, France, with a 2-day test scheduled for October 8th and October 9th. But let me be clear in saying that Toyota isn't alone in bringing big updates for 2026. BMW has already unveiled revisions to their M Hybrid V8 for both their attacks on the WEC and IMSA championships next year, and Alpine is preparing upgrades for their A424 as well, as the Renault-owned company is looking to build on their breakthrough win at the 6 Hours of Fuji when Ferdinand Habsburg, Paul Lucheton, and Charles Malesi got the win with the number 35 car. For Toyota Gazoo Racing though, this Evo upgrade is crucial. The team is aiming to get back to fighting for podiums, championships, and most importantly, the win of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And if Toyota got the win at Le Mans, it would be their first since 2022. And with the revised GR010 expected to make its competitive debut at the Qatar 1812 kilometer, Toyota hopes that these new updates will allow them to finally fight once again for the overall victory in the World Endurance Championship.
Wow. Wow. possibly hydrogen Toyota hypercar for the 2026 season. That's crazy, guys. Hopefully it goes through.
She's on her way.
I need that summary. She's here.
These are my predictions for the 2026 IMSA entry list. The 2026 grid is already shaping up to be phenomenal for the WeatherTech series, but as of recording this, the complete grid hasn't been revealed quite yet. So in this video, I'll be sharing my take on how the grid will shape up for the upcoming 2026 IMSA season. I'll begin with the GTP class, and next year I predict to see 13 cars on the grid representing a total of 5 car manufacturers, including Acura, Aston Martin, BMW, Cadillac, and Porsche. Oh, and by the way, Lamborghini won't be making a return to the top class next year, as the SC63 program has already been confirmed to go on pause in 2026. I'll start off with the number 5 Mustang sampling Porsche 963 from Proton Competition. And even though the black and gold Porsche didn't appear in the majority of 2025 rounds, I do expect the German team to return to GTP starting off with the Rolex 24 for their 4th season in a row in the top class of IMSA. For Porsche Penske Motorsport, I do expect them to return, as the defending champions should bring the number 6 and number 7 cars back to the grid. And the same can be said for Cadillac Wayne Taylor Racing, as the number 10 and number 40 will surely be on the grid again. I also expect to see no change at the heart of racing, with the number 23 Aston Martin Valkyrie almost guaranteed to return in 2026. And the same can be said for the 2 BMW M Hybrid V8s. The only thing that's changing for 2026 is that Team WRT will take over the operations of the number 24 and number 25 cars. There's absolutely zero doubt in my mind that the Indianapolis winning number 31 Whelen Cadillac will be back on the grid next year, and IMSA has already officially confirmed that the number 60 and number 93 Acuras from Meyershank Racing will also be back on the grid. The only additional GTP entry that I see coming for 2026 is another Porsche 963 from JDC Miller Motorsports. The Minnesota-based squad, which used to run 2 cars in IMSA's top category, has been rumored to expand to run a second Porsche, and I think that's going to happen in 2026. This car, I believe, will be labeled as the number 84 Porsche 963, in addition to the team's already existing number 85 963. And if JDC Miller running the number 84 sounds familiar, well, that's because they did when they ran Cadillac entries back in the DPI era. Realistically, I don't think a car from another manufacturer will join the grid next year in GTP, like the Ferrari 499P or Alpine A424, for example. And I do think that it is too early for AO Racing to jump into the GTP class, as they seem to be in talks with multiple car manufacturers, and this seems to be a possibility for 2027 and not 2026. If this grid becomes a reality, I do expect that 2 entries on this grid will only compete in the Michelin Endurance Cup rounds, which are the number 5 Proton Porsche as it continues its schedule from this year, while the number 84 Porsche, which is rumored to come to the grid, would only run in the Michelin Endurance Cup rounds. Moving on to LMP2, and I would expect to see 14 cars on the grid, and I predict that all of these entries will be running the Oreca 07 chassis. A lot of these entries have already been confirmed on the grid, such as the number 2 and number 22 United Autosports cars, as this team is expected to go back to IMSA in the P2 category in 2026. I'm pretty confident in saying that the 04 CrownStrike Racing by APR entry will be back on the grid, and IMSA has already confirmed that the number 8 Tower Motorsports and the number 11 TDS Racing entries will also return. Even though it hasn't been officially confirmed by IMSA, I would expect to see the return of the number 18 Era Motorsports Oreca. An entry that's been confirmed for next year that's brand new to the grid is the number 37 Orca, run by Intersport Racing by HMD Motorsports. And by the way, Intersport Racing, which was founded by John Field, is making their return to the grid for the first time since 2011 when they ran in the American Le Mans Series. I do predict the return of the Polish team inter-Europol competition to the IMSA grid with their number 43 car. And the number 52 Brian Herta Autosports by PR1 Mathiasen Motorsports entry is set to be on the grid, and I hope that Logan Sargent might be a part of that lineup. Another newer entry to the LMP2 field that I predict will be on the grid in 2026 is the number 61 Team Tonus LMP2, which raced at Road America. But I do expect this entry to only race part-time in the Michelin Endurance Cup rounds. IMSA has already confirmed the number 73 Pratt Miller Motorsports LMP2 to return to the grid for the second season in a row. And I also predict the number 79 JDC Miller Motorsports LMP2 to make a return, maybe with an updated schedule to include some more races than just at Road America and at CTMP. Another entry I'm putting on this list is the AF Corsa PCOM Racing LMP2. But I do think there could be an odd change coming for this car, as I would think AF Corsa might change the number from 88 to 83, as the team usually runs 83 in racing series across the world. This is something that I just see AF Corsa doing, and with the Iron Dames likely not returning in 2026 with their number 83 Porsche and GTD, I just think this number switch might be a good idea. Finally, in LMP2, how could AO Racing not bring back the number 99 Spike entry, as this car has been a fan favorite in 2025? Before moving on, I do want to point out that I did not include the number 74 Riley entry on this list, as I expect this car to not return, as Gar Robinson is moving on, and Riley might be moving into a different category in IMSA. More on them a little bit later though. One quick mention as well on Team RLL, they were rumored for quite some time to jump into LMP2 for 2026, but I think they're going to do something similar to what Chip Ganassi did following their departure from GTP and just stick to IndyCar for now. For GTD Pro, this is where I think the most exciting changes are happening for the 2026 grid. In the professional GT category, I predict 13 entries on the grid across 8 car manufacturers represented. No change for 2025, as I do think BMW, Chevrolet, Ferrari, Ford, Lamborghini, Lexus, Mercedes, and Porsche will be on the grid. The first entry I'll mention is a bold prediction from me, and that is the number 1 Paul Miller Racing car, but I don't think PMR will be running a BMW next season, and instead, I think they'll make the switch to run a Mercedes AMG GT3, but just one of them in IMSA. Mercedes needs to be represented in full-time competition in GTD Pro, as the last time this was the case was in 2023 with the WeatherTech Racing team. And with Paul Miller Racing rumored to leave BMW in 2026, I do think that they could be the team that brings Mercedes to GTD Pro. Moving on, and I don't expect any change at Pratt Miller Motorsports with the number 3 and number 4 Corvettes set to return to the grid in 2026. Pfaff Motorsports is also set to make a return in GTD Pro with the number 9 Lamborghini, but I do expect them to be another one of the teams that gets the brand new Temerario GT3 once it makes its debut at the 12 Hours of Sebring. From a team that will likely get the new iteration of a car to a team that likely won't in 2026, Vasser Sullivan Racing are set to come back to the IMSA grid in GTD Pro with the number 14 Lexus. But it won't be the new variation of the Toyota/Lexus GT3, and instead, we should see the return of the RCF GT3, which is likely to go for another season in IMSA competition. Now, I talked about how Paul Miller Racing could switch to run a Mercedes, but I don't think they'll be the only operator of a full-time Mercedes AMG GT3 in the GTD Pro category, as I do expect Windward Racing to move up to GTD Pro with their number 57 car. This entry has been so dominant over in GT Daytona, winning the last championship in 2024, and it's likely set to win the championship again in 2025. Just to be clear though, in order for this to happen, Russell Ward would need to be upgraded from a silver racer to a gold rated racer. So I hope that gets to happen because Windward Racing are very keen to step up to GTD Pro one day. Now, we know for a fact that the number 64 and number 65 Ford Mustangs will be on the grid in 2026 thanks to Multimatic Motorsports. And I would also expect to see a third Mercedes AMG GT3 in GTD Pro, which is the number 75 car from 75 Express. But like this season, I would expect to see this car only race part-time. I can almost guarantee 2 additional entries on the grid, the number 77 Porsche, which is the Rexy entry from AO Racing, and the number 81 Dragon Speed Ferrari. Partner with another car manufacturer, that means another team will have to run the BMW M4s in 2026 in GTD Pro. It's been heavily rumored with BMW, and I expect them to run 2 cars in the series, the number 97 and the number 98. With one of those cars only racing in the Michelin Endurance Cup rounds. If PMR decide to partner with another car brand, this could leave the majority of factory BMW drivers to join the Random Vandals M4 program. So we'll have to see as the entry list gets announced, but I do think that Random Vandals will at least have 1 car in the Pro category next year. Finally, for GTD, I'm predicting 20 cars on the grid across 9 car manufacturers, including Aston Martin, BMW, Chevrolet, Ferrari, Ford, Lamborghini, Lexus, Mercedes, and finally Porsche. I'll start off with the number 12 Vasser Sullivan Lexus, with the team still hoping for that first GT Daytona title. AWA are also expected to go into their 3rd season in GTD with the number 13 Corvette, with Van der Sar Racing also looking for a comeback to IMSA with the number 19 Aston Martin Vantage, but this car will likely stay as a Michelin Endurance Cup entry. It's all but guaranteed that AF Corsa will stay in GTD with the number 21 Ferrari. And while I would love to see this team expand to full-time running with this entry, I think it will stay as a Michelin Endurance Cup car. Meanwhile, I predict Triarsi Competizione will stay on the grid with both of their entries with no change for the O21 or O23 schedules, with the O23 continuing to run part-time and the O21 racing full-time. I also see no change with the next 3 entries, the number 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, the number 34 Conquest Racing Ferrari, and the number 36 DXD Corvette are all expected to return in 2026. An entry I'm very happy to put on this list is the number 44 Magnus Racing Aston Martin, as all signs point to this team returning in 2026, hopefully for more races with this Vantage. I do predict that the number 45 Wayne Taylor Racing Lamborghini Huracan will return to the grid, and it's possible that WTR might switch out their Huracan for the brand new Temerario GT3 once it becomes available. Settler Racing are also expected to return to IMSA's GT Daytona category with the number 47 Ferrari 296, but this car is set to remain as a Michelin Endurance Cup only entry. I do predict that Texas-based squad Gradient Racing will be back for their 2nd season in IMSA with the Ford Mustang GT3, and the same goes for the number 70 Inception Racing Ferrari, as following their win at Indianapolis, I think that Optimum Motorsports and Inception will surely want to come back. Now, a very exciting entry that I think will come to the grid in 2026 is the number 74 Riley in GTD. I mentioned earlier that Riley likely won't be competing in LMP2, but they've been rumored to return to GTD with a part-time entry for Michelin Endurance Cup rounds. If this were to happen, it's unclear which manufacturer Riley would partner with. They could go with Mercedes again, as they did when they raced in GTD a long time ago, or they could switch to Lamborghini, a manufacturer of course they're partnering with over in GTP to run the SC63 program. But to me, the option that makes the most sense is for Riley to run a Porsche 911 GT3R part-time. and this would be the second 911 on the grid, in addition to another entry which I'll get into in just a moment. I have zero doubt in my mind that Forte Racing will be back on the grid with the number 78 Lamborghini. The question now is, will it be with the Huracan or the Temerario once it arrives? Another entry I do expect to make a return is the number 80 Lone Star Racing car, and this is the Mercedes AMG GT3, which only competes part-time in 2025, and I expect this entry to remain that way in 2026. Now, Turner Motorsport. I think this team could be expanding in a big way in 2026. We know for a fact that the number 96 BMW M4 will be on the grid in 2026, as IMSA just recently confirmed that. But I do think that Turner Motorsport might add an additional M4 to the grid, that being the number 95 BMW, which would race in the Michelin Endurance Cup rounds. Turner Motorsport have a big presence in IMSA, as in fact they already run an additional GT3 entry over in the VP Racing Sports Car Challenge. So I think that running a second BMW M4 GT3 Evo is a realistic possibility for this team. Finally, the last entry I'll predict to be on the grid is another Porsche 911, and that is the number 120 Wright Motorsports entry, and I don't think there'll be any changes with this car. So those are my predictions for the IMSA WeatherTech Series entry list for the upcoming and highly anticipated 2026 season. Now, I've shared my predictions for next year, but I'm curious to hear yours. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on your predictions in the comments below.
Very interesting, guys. I do not know what's gonna happen for next season. I do know that it will be successful for certain teams and for others not so much. That honestly does it for today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and have a good rest of your night or evening, whenever it is you guys